Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing the Amazon Prime mini-series called Little Fires Everywhere, which is based on the novel of the same name by Celeste Ng. And it focuses on families from different socio-economic backgrounds in a suburban town called Shaker Heights in Ohio, and it's a little bit like Desperate Housewives. Now it stars Reese Witherspoon and Kerry, who also executive produced the series, which runs for 8 episodes, which I am going to break down in this video review. So in terms of the story of the miniseries, it looks at the intertwined lives of 4 families: the picture-perfect Richardson family, the struggling Warren family, immigrant baby Chow, and the McLeod family as well. And it looks how the actions that the different characters take has massive consequences of all of these different families, which is really, really interesting. And another device that I really like about this series is that each episode starts by looking at the past of one particular character so that you can understand the actions that they take in the present, which is just really, really interesting. And actually there is a whole episode dedicated to going back into the past so that you can understand Mia Warren and Elena Richardson a lot more. So the main storylines in the show revolve around Elena and Mia Warren's initial friendship, but then which quickly turns into a bitter rivalry and pure hatred for one another, which is just really, really interesting across the series. The other big storyline is to do with BB Chow's daughter. So a few years ago, BB Chow had a daughter, but she was really struggling, so couldn't pay for her, and so kind of gave her up and put her outside of a fire station. She later finds out that one of Elena's friends actually took in Mei Ling, which was the daughter of BB Chow, and has now been raising her as her own. And then a bitter court case also happens between BB Chow and the McLeod family, and the court deciding who is going to get custody of this child. And obviously Mia Warren and Elena also play a big part in this storyline as well. We then have the next storyline, which revolves around Mia's daughter called Pearl and the unintentional fractions that she causes with the Richardson family. So for example, Moody really likes Pearl, but she actually likes his older brother Trip, and the daughter called Lexi kind of uses Pearl's story to get into university and also uses her name when she has an abortion. So very complicated relationships between all of the kids. And then Izzy is the other child who is a secret lesbian, and the difficulty that she has with her relationship with her mother Elena. And then speaking of Elena, Elena kind of questions whether she made the right decision in the past in terms of giving up on her long-term boyfriend and kind of having the illusion of a perfect life. So if you look at the Richardson family from the outside, you would think that they've got the perfect life, but when you dig a little bit deeper, Elena kind of shows that, you know, did she actually make the right decision in terms of choosing a family over her career and kind of having the illusion of a perfect life is really, really interesting when you kind of examine it from this point of view. So in terms of all of the storylines in this mini-series, it's really interesting from a family point of view. So from a cast and characters point of view, this show is actually really, really strong. It's got some great lead actors kind of playing the parental figures. And then the kids, it's really interesting. They've casted the children so well, as they really do look like they're the kids of the parent actors, which is just absolutely brilliant casting. So let's go through them one by one. So first up we have Reese Witherspoon, who kind of leads the show really, really well. And she plays journalist, landlady, and mother of 4 teenagers, and a character that is really, really privileged and just can't help herself in terms of getting involved in everyone's business and kind of getting involved with everything. And she has a brilliant sparring partner in Kerry Washington's Mia Warren's character. The other lead character in the show is played by Kerry Washington, who plays Mia Warren in this show. And she is a very hard-working artist who just can't really catch a break. You find out a lot more about her past, which really makes her a very layered and complicated character. And like I said, she's always trying to do the right thing. We then have Joshua Jackson, who plays Bill, who is Elena's husband in this show. He isn't really that big of a character. He does have a couple of big scenes towards the end of the show, but he just isn't as big of a character as Mia Warren or Elena Richardson are. But he does kind of play the very supportive husband and the very supportive father figure. And like I said, he does have bigger storylines towards the end of the show. Huang plays BB Chow, and Rosemarie DeWitt plays Linda McLeod, and both of them are trying to fight for Mei Ling, who is the daughter of BB Chow. And it's really, really interesting, as you can really see the perspective of both of these characters, and you can really feel a lot of sympathy for them in terms of both of them are Mei Ling's mother, and they're both just coming at it from very different perspectives. So that storyline is really, really emotional. We then have Lexi Underwood, who plays Pearl, and she's a very complicated character as she gets used by everyone, and as she is a bit of a teenager, she doesn't really know what she wants from life. But like I said before, unintentionally causes a lot of drama and a lot of tension within the Richardson family. We then have the other Richardson kids who are really interesting within their own right as well. So Trip is a bit of a jock character that ends up falling in love with Pearl. We then have Moody, who kind of is a bit of a goody two-shoes type character who also falls in love with Pearl. We then have Lexi, who, like I said before, uses Pearl a lot in terms of uses her story to get into the university of her dreams, and also uses her name when she wants to have an abortion. And then finally we have Izzy, who is a bit of a rebellious character and has a lot of difficulty with her mother. So overall, from a cast and characters point of view, this show is really, really strong. So from a visuals point of view, this show is actually really, really strong. So it's set in the 90s, so all of the setting and all of the aesthetic reflects the 90s, and it looks absolutely brilliant. You really do feel like you've transported back into the 90s as everything looks really, really cool. And speaking of things looking really, really cool, the mansion houses that all of these characters are living in is just absolutely mind-blowing, especially the Richardson's mansion. It looks absolutely amazing. You really do want to live there because it's just so glamorous and just makes you feel like you're living like actual royalty, which is really, really cool. And the other thing that I said before is that each episode kind of jumps into the past, and I just feel like as a storytelling device, that is really, really cool. And you know, they've got the 90s setting down, but then when you go into the past as well, you really do feel like you've been transported even further back so that you can really understand all of the characters. And in terms of good casting, like I said before, the past versions of the characters looks really, really cool. So from a visuals point of view, this mini-series is really, really wicked. So from a comparisons point of view, while it's stylistically very different to these types of shows, I would say it's similar to Desperate Housewives, Big Little Lies, and Sharp Objects in terms of how it focuses on certain different characters. But like I said before, the storytelling style and the storytelling content is very different. But I would say in terms of those comparisons, I do prefer those other shows. But that being said, Little Fires Everywhere is still very strong as its own mini-series in its own right. So in terms of the ending of this show, it just gets really, really explosive, and everything that they've been building up towards for the first 7 episodes just dramatically breaks in the final episode. So let me quickly do a quick recap. So in terms of the court case, in terms of Linda versus BB Chow, Linda wins the court case, and then Mei Ling is having full custody with Linda, but then BB Chow in the last minute just kidnaps Mei Ling and kind of runs away with her, which is pretty devastating for the Linda character. Elena works out that as soon as she kind of gave her property to the Mia Warren character, her entire life just spiraled out of control. So she has a very explosive final few scenes with the Mia Warren character, and she tries to destroy her life as she feels Mia Warren has destroyed Elena's life. So she tells Pearl that actually she was supposed to be the daughter of a surrogate family, and also kicks Mia out as Mia is renting a property that is in Elena's name. And this is the reason why Mia was helping BB Chow, as she kind of felt she had a similar story to her, as Mia kind of ran away with Pearl when she should have given her up, which is somewhat similar to BB Chow. So you find out this is the real reason that Mia was so supportive of the BB Chow character. Izzy similarly has a very explosive final scene with the Elena character. Now in the book, it is the Izzy character that kind of sets the Richardson mansion on fire, which she is just about to do, but then the other 3 teenage kids kind of stop her doing this, and then Izzy just ends up running away, and the other 3 kids are the ones that set the house on fire. So this is a bit of a twist, and is how the show is a little bit different to the book. There are a few other differences as well in terms of the Warren family not having a race in the book, whereas in the show they made them a black family. So they made a couple of different changes, but this was the biggest change, as you never know who is the one that sets the Richardson house on fire, but then you actually find out that it's the other 3 kids. And like I said, the other aspect is that Izzy runs away, and in the book Elena never sees Izzy again, which is really, really sad. But the show has a bit of a positive ending, whereby it shows that Elena's kind of feeling regret for everything that she's done towards Izzy. So hopefully she'll kind of be reunited with her and they can kind of all be a happy family again. So it's a bit of an open-ended finale. I feel like even though it's a mini-series, they may well do a second. But that being said, it did kind of close all of the storylines that I had throughout the show. So overall, I did really enjoy Little Fires Everywhere. I thought it had great acting, really gripping storylines, and the visuals were absolutely amazing. That being said, I wouldn't say it's the best TV show ever created, but it is still enjoyable to watch. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Little Fires Everywhere a solid 6.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.